Welcome to another edition of the Video Game Review here on machinima.com. I'm Rob Talbert, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most anticipated games of 2010, God of War 3. Kratos is back and ready to finish off his quest for revenge. Question is, does the game live up to the insane amount of hype associated with it? God of War 3 picks up right where God of War 2 left off. Kratos is riding the Titans up to the top of Mount Olympus to kill the rest of the gods and complete his revenge. That's all we're going to tell you about the plot, because anything else would be considered huge spoilers for the game. Trust me when I tell you that the wrap-up to this series will not disappoint. Players will once again take control of Kratos in his quest for vengeance, and this time around things have been rebuilt from the ground up. The game has a whole boatload of new things in it, but one of the biggest things is the new game engine. This allows for all kinds of amazing enhancements in the game. Specifically though, it really enhances the overall scale of the game. From the levels themselves to the characters, the weapons, and abilities, everything in God of War 3 is bigger and better than any of the previous installments. This and the amazingly strong story are the two best things God of War 3 has going for it. Some levels will have you playing on the arm of a Titan, and that is literally a moment where, as a player, I had to take a second to really take in the entire scope of what was going on. It's amazing. The gameplay itself hasn't been reworked as much as it's been slightly tweaked. If players want to button mash through the game, then by all means, they can do that. But now things are a bit more refined with the addition of 4 new weapons, each with their own unique abilities and unique magical abilities. The game has some of the most rewarding combat I've ever experienced in a title like God of War. With 4 different weapons at players' disposal and the ability to hot swap between them in combat, the combat itself has definitely been taken up a step. That's a good thing too, because God of War 3 has some of the most epic boss battles in the series to date. The battles are huge in scope at times, and it will take all of a player's skills to defeat some of the bosses in the game. Another great element of the gameplay that has returned to the series in full force are the puzzles. God of War 3 offers up some pretty interesting and sometimes frustrating puzzles this time around. It's nice to have the developers making the players use their heads for a bit, and it's really a great payoff when you complete a puzzle in the game. Overall though, the gameplay has been, if it's even possible, improved from the previous titles in this series. Now, we talked about a new game engine driving God of War 3, and let me say that the graphics in this game might make you melt like the Nazi in Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is serious business, folks. This engine makes the game look so good that most of the storytelling is done using in-game models. No need for pre-rendered cutscenes, even though there are a few. The game just looks amazing all the time. It's out of control. The levels in this game are really a sight to behold. As I had mentioned before, the levels where you're riding on Titans and fighting off enemies will really show you how far this series has come in the graphics department. From the characters to the level design, the development team at Sony Santa Monica really took the time to give everything in the game a huge amount of detail. The controls in God of War 3 haven't been changed much since the last game. Everything is familiar and easy to use. The controls will take some time to master, as now you have the ability to change weapons in the middle of combat, and that can lead to some devastating combos. The only thing that took me a tiny bit of time to get the hang of was the double jump mechanic. It's a small thing, but it's really the only thing I could find in this game that was negative, so I felt like I should bring it up. I mean, it's like one thing out of so many. Overall, the controls are a breeze to learn and feel extremely familiar to gamers who've played the previous games in the series.
Put aside the petty grievances that have splintered us for so long. We will unite. We will stand together. And I will wipe out this plague. Olympus will prevail!
Another amazing aspect of God of War 3 is the sound. Everything in the game's sound department fits perfectly within God of War 3. The soundtrack and score would be the definition of the word epic. Take a listen to some of this. The voice acting is once again spot on in the game, with great performances coming from Terrence Carson as Kratos And a great supporting cast as well, with performances from Malcolm McDowell, Rip Torn, and even Kevin Sorbo, to name a few. God of War 3 is hands down the best in the series so far. Everything is bigger and better this time around in the game. It's a game that is visually stunning and amazing to play through. This game is the pinnacle of perfection for what has made the God of War series what it is today. Solid, addictive gameplay, and one hell of a great story. And once you beat the game, make sure you kids stick around after the credits are over with.